That's better. Okay, so I've got two things to fix. Sound is fixed, so hopefully you guys now, thanks Nick for pointing it out. Brad, why didn't you tell me? I could see that the bar was bouncing, but I forgot to register that it was actually in gray rather than copy, jump across to chat, properties, and Control V, enter. Okay, you've got chat now as well. So let's go over this again. Last week we started dismantling my Ender 5 and we started talking about the electronics changes that I'm going to make, and we also put together some more of the Rapid Burner Toolhead ready to go on it. This is very much a dynamic process, and I'm trying to do this build just like you would if you were building a project, or if I was building a project and there was no stream involved. So I'm thinking through things, I'm making changes a little bit as I go to try and overcome little hurdles as we come up with them. Now, last week we played around with mounting the electronics into this enclosure. Well, it was actually a white version of the enclosure. This one, but it was pretty ghetto, and it was also missing the power port on the end for the Raspberry Pi. So I went back to my files and I made a modified version, which is this one. I then went to catch up with where we were at in terms of the Pi and the Pico being mounted inside this, and came up with two realizations. Number one, I'd added, let's see if you can see them. Can you see those three loops for tie straps for holding the cables into place? They're not in the right spots. I need to adjust those, so that's got to change. And also, while I did include a power port, it's not big enough to get the plug into, and the HDMI port, when I made the minor alteration to it, I adjusted its alignment and it's much better, but it's not quite accurate, and it's not big enough. If I try and put my HDMI plug into that socket, wherever I put it, it's around here somewhere. There we go. Sorry. If I try and put it in, the plug doesn't reach all the way into the socket and it just doesn't work. So I've got a new version of this mounting board that I'm going to print between now and next week. And we're just going to treat this build as we've got to this stage and we're going to keep going. And then I'll do the magic swap in between streams using the magic of the interwebs. And we will then have plugs that actually fit through those holes. But for now, we're going to keep going with what we've got on hand, because basically this is how I think I would do it most of the time, and most of you guys would do it as you went, in terms of it's a from scratch build, and there's a little bit of development that has to happen as well as putting it all together. Now, Ender 5, it's here. This is a back panel that I cut using Teaching Tech's sizes to know exactly how big to make these panels. Having access to a laser at work has made life a lot easier. These panels have actually been installed in the printer for at least 2 years, and they work really well as a means of keeping the drafts off my prints when the air conditioner is running. And I've been peeling off all the VHB tape that was used previously for my emergency fix, and this is the last piece that I haven't quite got off yet. So that is going to bother me throughout the stream, and I will try not to let the squirrels in my brain distract me too much, and we'll keep on working. The only other thing I've done while you guys weren't around, I've drilled 2 holes in this panel that match the mounting holes for the electronics box. Idea is the screws come in from the printer side, out through the back panel, and screw into the base of this box. And if I use M36s and I use black ones, you barely even know that they're there. So the next thing I have to decide is really, do I use button heads or do I use socket heads? I think button heads because they look a little bit prettier, but I need to make sure that I've got enough M36s in black, which I do from the 3D Sets truck build I've just found, to be able to make that work. So without much ado, let's get on to doing that. Now, this is going to be a bit awkward in terms of seeing everything, I think. So how am I going to do this? Let's adjust this camera, camera 1, and that way. No, wrong way. Go down, Phil, down, 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 down. Hi, Digital Dragon, how are you? Glad you've been able to catch the stream. And Clownhammer. I didn't see you come in, sorry, Clownhammer. Okay, so let's go across to that one. Now we can see things a little bit better. So, first thing we're going to do is pull out all of the electronics, the electrical, the cabling, to basically give us some clean space to work. Then we're going to mount the electronics package here, and then we're going to start working on how we're going to wire things up and which toolhead board I'm going to use. I had been originally planning to use a Mellow Fly that I had floating around, but no, not Mellow Fly, Mellow SHT 36 that I had floating around, but it doesn't have its a CAN bus pass-through on there. So I found that I had a Big Tree Tech EBB 36 version 1.2 in a box. Not beta, not sponsored, just paid for with my own cash. And that's what we're going to be using. Now, if magic was to happen and all of a sudden something new that I already have in my possession became public knowledge, then you may find that we all of a sudden change tack on a stream and we completely rip that board off and put something else in its place. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, can't say much more than that. So, first things first, let's see if we can pull all this cabling through this hole. Now, when Teaching Tech released his files, he didn't actually include a hole up here, I don't believe. I did this myself because I wanted to be able to tuck all the wires somewhere safe. That's the Z end stop. Now, I haven't been using the end stop itself, but I've left the wiring in place for it purely because I wasn't sure what direction any changes would take when I came to modifying the printer, or modifying it more, should I say. And as a result, it was just easier to leave it in place. That cable goes through too. Now, obviously, I've got my back to you guys a little bit. What do you think about Piggyback 36? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Brad. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Do you mean being able to piggyback the CAN bus? Because being able to piggyback the CAN bus makes a lot of sense. Now that is that cable there. So that never needed to come through in the first place. Oh, and I pulled it off the motor anyway. Now, I'm hoping not to have to dismantle this more than I have to. And I know the cables went through this way originally, so they must all fit. Worst comes to worst, I've got everything I need to recrimp it, but I don't want to have to if I can avoid it. So, that's through. Fan cable by looks of it. That will be the hot end power. Yep. It's got a cable stuck through the middle of it. Okay, so that's all our cabling free and clear. Okay, let's turn this printer around. Am I all blurry? I do look like I'm all blurry. Oh no, it's cleared itself up. Must just been a focusy thing. If I get blurry, please tell me, guys. Okay, projects. Keeps the wiring for the MCU, but is a breakout board with an umbilical. Has 8 connectors for 2 pin. Oh, I think I know what you mean. The problem with it is if you don't place it in the right location, Brad, you end up with reflections on the CAN bus. And while the setup we're using is pretty robust, if you're putting that like meters and meters of cable away from the termination, you're going to start getting reflections. Wow, you remember all those wires from a few years ago. So much easier with CAN bus and USB. I've had a few cocktails, not sure I'm the one to ask. Alcohol is always a good idea. Okay. So now we need to get this tool head off. Now, what I've got here is the V2 Revo from H2 V2 Revo from Big Tree Tech. Whether this is the one I won or it's one I bought myself, I can't honestly tell you. They all got mixed around. Now, how does that come off? From memory, it's just that one screw and then it latches in. Yep, that's right. It's off, along with all those wires. Let's put this out of the way because I don't really need it at this point. The one thing I might need off it is the knockoff BL Touch. But I did some trawling around on printables during the week, and I found that one, yeah, this, which appears to be the right kind of mounting plate to screw here. If I can get it all lined up. It doesn't quite fit. Well, that sucks. I wasn't able to do this off stream, of course, because I needed to do it for you guys. Can I push that over and slide this into place? So let's explain what's going on. Let's raise this up a little bit, making sure I don't trap any wires as I go. I took the day off and just worked on printing stuff I wanted to. We're starting to feel too much like work. I know, it's one of those things where we're putting our heart and souls into what we're doing on screen, and then it kind of feels like it's becoming a chore rather than something we want to be doing. So I've been there too, projects. So what's going on? Let's jump to no, side cam. So that's what I'm looking for. And let's use the gimbal. Right. The spot where the belt tension doohickey connects to is conflicting with the side of this plastic part that I found. Now, it could be that this was actually designed for the Ender 3 version, and as a result, it just doesn't fit. But it's not the end of the world, because that's only a very, very minor change that I have to make to that to fix. So let's get a Sharpie and go there and there. And let's go back to that one. Let's zoom that one in a little bit, because I zoomed it out for something else I was doing. Okay, so between those two lines, I need to do a cutout of how much? Approximately 4 mil. So that's going to leave that a little bit tight against that hole, but I'm going to work with that. That's fine. So let's find that file and let's jump over to our favorite friend Tinkercad, because that's going to be the fastest way to deal with this, I think. Let's go to browser so you guys can see what I'm up to. And I'm logged in, so I'm not going to show you anything I don't want to. Sorry guys, I know that you can't see what's going on. I'm just swapping to the right window. There we go. So let's create a new file, 3D design. And we're up. Let's import the file. Now you guys can't see it because it's a pop-up window and OBS doesn't like overlay surfaces. And this is the one I've been playing around. One of the things I've been doing is learning a little bit more about how to get the most out of the Prusa. And this is one of the files that I sent straight from printables. So hopefully I'm logged in. Yes, I am. Let's go to here and go to my profile. And downloaded. Yeah, it was for an Ender 3. That's why I was having difficulty. So let's download that. And it's a 3MF. Why do people keep saving them up as 3MFs when they're just simple files? Oh well, we can fix that. So let's open that. Oh, something else I'm working on. Let's show you guys this. Let's go to. Now this is in Prusa Slicer. The toolhead that we're going to be using is going to have the APUS2 on it, the Phaetus extruder, and I'm working on having a koala face on it. Now, I want to print it so that it's going to have it show up as a different color, and I don't have any tool changing at the moment or any color swapping, so it's going to suck if I have to print it in this direction because I can't print it on that surface because of all the intricate stuff. Worst comes to worst, what I might do is actually print it face down and have it as an embossed layer, like I did with the electronics box I'm going to show you in a second, but we'll go with that. You need to take me to CAD class, Brad. There's no step file for it, Brad. If there was a step file for it, I would be intrepid and go into Fusion, but there isn't. And I needed that open. Why am I closing it down? That's what I need. So, new project, discard. Mount, open. File, export as STL. And we're going to call this E3 to E5 mod mount. There we go. Now we can minimize that. We can go back to Chrome, and I need to make it big again. There we go. And we need to go back into Tinkercad or whichever window that is there. Choose a file. And downloads, that one. This shape's mesh is too complex. Tinkercad mesh is, there's no way it's got 300,000 triangles in it. Let's try it one more time. Import, choose file. Okay, that's strange. Now I've seen this before, and sometimes you can fix it by just simply flipping it over. There's no complex fillets on this. I've imported way more complex shapes before. let's put, no, that's not, that's fine. Yeah. I am still here. And I need to remember to keep swapping backwards and forwards between which program you guys are supposed to be looking at. So I flipped the object on its side, and let's go File. Save project as, no, it only allows VMF there. File, export as STL. Yes, I want to replace it. 16 megs. Okay, let's try one more time. If this doesn't work, then I'll just put a simple cylinder object into, as a negative onto the side of this, and we'll move forward. But I want to try and do it the right way. So let's go to Chrome. Choose a file. Nope, doesn't like it still. All right, let's go back to here. Let's go to there. And right click on the object and go add a negative volume as a cylinder. How big of a cylinder do we need? It needs to be about 12 millimeters in diameter. So 12 by 12, and it needs to be slightly lower than the center of that screw hole. That'll do. Twice now. Now that camera's gone for a wander by itself, so let's bring that back a bit. Camera 1. Down a bit. Actually, let's just use the shortcut. There we go. I'm back. So, make sure the printer's all ready to go. Make sure the top vent is closed. Double check the amount of filament I've got. 20. And let's send to connect. Oh, let's not send to connect. Let's close that. Anybody realize my mistake? I was about to print it in 0.1 layer height. That would suck. Let's go 0.25 structural. And that's a lot less time. So send to connect. Confirm. Now, you guys can't see Push to Connect properly on the screen because of the way they render it. That's all finished. That can go transfer, confirm. And okay. That is now uploading, and as soon as it finishes in the queue, I will hit print. So let's go back to me. Okay. My printer needs attention. Ignore. And it's warming up, so we are on track. Yes. So let's go back to that one. Oh yeah, so this part, over there out of the way. This is yet another one of those things where I'm sure that if anybody was doing this for themselves, they would encounter the same hassle, so it's no loss. Now, what we do need to do is we need to install this. Now it's designed to go Raspberry Pi to the top, side cam, and let's go down a bit, making sure I don't trap any cables, which I did just a little bit, but that's okay. And now let's go to cam 2 and pan you down. There. So I am going to pre-screw these into the 2 holes that I've already drilled. That's not the right head. That's the right head. So 1. 2. Now for this one, because there's not really an awful lot of dynamic load on it, I've elected to simply screw into the plastic rather than putting heat sets in. Just trying to line it up with that first screw. There. Couple of threads to get it to bite. And I lost the screw. Now the reason I'm reaching all the way around is there's actually clear side panels. I'm not sure if you can see them. No, you can just make out the reflections. There's clear side panels on the printer. There we go, I think. It looks like it should be aligned. It's not quite. Let's tighten this one all the way up and take that screw out. There. I'm going to take the bottom screw out, and I'm going to use a slightly smaller Allen key in the hole. Okay, that's lined up. You guys will stop chatting. I'm assuming there's a competition running on somebody else's stream right now. It's not fitting. There's something not quite right. But for those of you who were here at the beginning of the stream, you'll remember it's coming off anyway. This is just in place temporarily. Maybe the collab with Bondtech will give you a tool changer option for the Core 1. Maybe I'm listening, watching, and wiring up a printer. That also works, Digital Dragon. So this USB cable here is connected to the buttons on the front of the printer. I'm going to leave that there now because it's there to, oh, you can't see. Let's go down a bit. That's better. USB cable connects to some buttons on the front of the printer, so I'm just going to leave that in place and not mess with it for now. We already have our heated bed output cable here. That needs to thread through now because it may not fit through at a later stage. And so we've got more cables going through. And what we need to do now is we need to connect the power input. So I'm going to need my little electrical screwdrivers. Yeah, you should be able to see me. Positive input. Where's my needle nose pliers? I always find it's easier to use needle nose pliers just to wiggle them into place. There we go. Now, one handy thing about this little electronics box that I've done is I've actually marked which side is positive and negative on each of these terminals. And before I power it on, I am going to double check, but I'm pretty confident I've got these the right way around already. Now that's screwed down tight still. That's better. Let's run that USB cable around there to make sure that we do have enough reach. Yes. So what we've got going in is we've got power input for the board itself and our power out for the bed. And next we need to probably start working out how to connect all these motors up. Now, for now, the motion system is going to stay the stock Creality motion system. Mostly because I can't afford rails at this moment in time. I'm just unplugging the end stop because the cables are all bound up and it's the easiest way to make them reach better. There we go. Let's zoom out a little and pan up. There we go. Now this is extruder for X. Oh, sorry, not extruder, stepper for X. And that's end stop for X. Now, I didn't build the Dragon with the X end stop on it, so we are going to still need it. But that cable feels ever so slightly too short. So that may mean I also have to modify the box so that I can actually run the end stop cables in this side. Oh, it has decided to do something. The core one has finally woken up. Just making sure I did set this as ABS. Yes, I did. Yep. So that's the X. Now we need the Y, which is that cable that I accidentally disconnected. That's all right. We can connect the Z cable while we're waiting. that's the Z1 socket that we're going to use. Now that is the thermistor cable for the heated bed. So temperature bed is that one. Hi, Havoc. Sorry, I didn't catch you as you came in. I'm just concentrating on this, and I've realized I'm a bit behind in a few places in terms of preparation. So what we're up to at this point is we're slowly moving all the wiring around inside the printer to allow it to go over to a CAN bus toolhead with an ultra high flow Rapido 2F, an APUS2 extruder, and all flying on a Rapid Burner. So where we're at, we currently need the Y cable. Where did I put the Y cable? Not in amongst all that bundle of stuff. It fell on the floor, that's why I can't see it. Now, question is, do we, let's go there. Question is, do we run the cable inside the printer or just straight outside? I'm thinking I run it straight outside. Then the end stop wire for Y can come up into here as well. So Y stepper, and Y end stop. Needle nose again. So that's plugged in. So in principle, we can now move in X and Y. We can move in Z, but we'd have no Z end stop at this point because I guess we could wire it up for safety for now, and then we can always disconnect it later. So Z stop is there. Again with a needle nose because my big fat fingers don't fit. And that's in. So, how is that extruder? I have been looking at it and trying to talk myself into it. The 2F, honestly don't know. The hot end I don't know, and the APUS2, nobody seems to use them. I've had a look all over the interwebs and they're very few and far between. There's no mounts for them. Nothing that's any good anyway. I actually had to custom design some parts to make it even fit onto the Rapid Burner, so it's anybody's guess. Now, one thing we do need to do is we need to put some heat sets into the tool head mount. So let's take that off. The reason being even this part that I'm taking off now, let's go back to this part. The motor itself doesn't sit at 45 degrees like most boards are designed for. It actually sits at 50. So that means that you can't even use any of these standardized EBB36 kind of holders. I had to modify it so that it would work. So Let me get my heatset iron. Where have I put my heatset iron? Oh well, we'll just use the whole press. I didn't really want to because I'm not happy with how it's working, but we'll go with it. For anybody who's interested in how Australian plugs work, that's an Australian plug. Note the plastic part here to prevent you accidentally putting your fingers behind and blowing yourself up. And a full earth pin is standard on all plugs here pretty much. Unless it's a double insulated appliance. So turn that socket on, run the wire around the back for safety. And that's now warming up. Since last stream, I did put myself some heat sets in here ready to go. But one thing I've been suffering from with this setup is the little M3 insert into the tool. It's been catching on the heat sets as I've been pulling it out, and it's been pulling them out of the spot. So hopefully I can use the hemostats to try and control that. So I know you guys can't see this easily. Let me try swapping to... No, that's not going to help. That's turned off or turned away for some reason. There we go. Stay. Now another minor modification I've made since last stream is I've actually turned the temperature of the iron down a bit. It was heating the heat sets up way too fast. That seems to be okay now. Just gonna yeah, I'm happy with that. So while I remember, I hadn't put the heat sets in here either. So we may as well get them done while the iron is hot, because then I can turn it off, get rid of it, and have less risk of burning myself yet again. Which, as regulars on my stream will know, it happens all the time. Yeah, turning the temperature down seems to have helped a little bit. Is there a Fabrico or West 3D kind of store in Australia? There's a couple. We've got Dremc, capital D REMC, who is probably the closest. And then we've got a couple of other stores, Phaetus FPV. There's other 3D stores around, but they tend to be less focused on the community and more just standalone operations. I can very heavily recommend Dremk. He's a top guy, and he's always been very fast in helping me. It's just he's on the other side of the country in Queensland, so stuff takes 8 to 10 days to arrive, whereas I can order from AliExpress and usually have it here in 5 to 6 days. So I think I've got all the heat sets installed now. They're installed. They're installed. Those are the... Yeah, I think I've got all those installed now. So let's get rid of the press. And let's move that camera to there. Let's move the view to that one. And let's start putting this all together. Are we ready? Is there any... Oh, no, it's already open. Yeah, top support. Jank time. Jank time. It's only jank time because you're here, Jake. Now, I'm just having a look at how this is set up. In principle, I could get this screw to fit back into place after I put the board on, but I'm not going to do it that way because that's just going to make life harder. Needle nose pliers I put down again somewhere. There they are. Now, my preferred method is to use nylon spacers for my EBB boards because they're lighter. And while I don't chase grams, I don't want to have them unnecessary. But the Big Tree kits come with the brass spacers, and I just want this to be rigid and not have to faff with it. Damn expensive to get something from Dremk here in the US. And he stocks some really cool stuff that even places like West 3D don't. Although his filament is coming from the exact same factory as Ambrosia. So Aussie's wanting Ambrosia filament. We don't have to order from the US. We can get it straight from him. It's the same stuff, same factory. So there's our spacers in place. Let's now screw this into place with that one. That core one still hasn't started printing, guys. It takes forever to get hot. So that's there, and let's use another couple of M36s to screw that to the heat sets. One. I put the little tray away. Yes, I did. Oh yeah. As of yesterday, Australia Post no longer ships to the US if there's any risk at all of tariffs. However, if you mark the parcel as a present, a gift from somebody of the same name, they'll do it. I was in the post office yesterday picking up something. Actually, for those of you who aren't on my Discord, I posted a funny on my Discord regarding USPS, which, while it's not particularly tasteful, there is a warning on my memes channel on the Discord to enter at your own risk. If one of you guys doesn't mind linking the Discord, that would be awesome. In fact, where are we? Click here. Standard mod, save. Havoc is now, and Jake is now. I've got it set up so that only moderators can send links. Now that's all in place. That's all in place. I think that's going to be good. Okay, so what have we got? We've got the tool headboard mounted. Now, this is the old school style, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, telling you something I probably shouldn't. This is the old style of board. It still has the Molex 2x2 on it. As I understand it, and what we've seen from the West 3D video, is that the new ones are going to have the XT30 plus 2s. So that's going to make life a little simpler, as they're going to be streamlined across the range. Now, that cable is way too long. Do I trim it? This is where we ask ourselves, what would Steve Builds do? And Steve would trim it, so that's what I'm going to do. Thanks, Jake. Oh. Just realized Clown Hammer isn't a mod. There we go. Fixed. So if we ask ourselves what would Steve Builds do, he would definitely cut that wire short. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm just trying to work out if there's a way I can manage this even better. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to heat shrink those cables, the 4 strands together. Sorry, I keep doing this off. Maybe if I zoom out a little bit on that camera, it'll catch more. There we go. So that cable, that wire can be shortened significantly down to about there. In fact, probably even shorter. Let's do that. Break out the JST crimps. Break out the 4-pin plugs. Where are my wire cutters? Cutters and strippers are somewhere here. I just saw them. Ah, I know what I did. I put them away. I was a good kid. And my free gift from Cyborg when I built my free V0.1 with these crimpers, they are by far the best ones I've got. I've got 3 different JST crimpers, and these ones just work the best. So that's what I'm going to keep on using for now. That's still got plenty of slack on it, so that's about right. Hi, Jason. Welcome aboard. Now, we know Jason's a known quantity, so let's go. There we go. Jason is also now a moderator. The reason I do that, Jason, is it means that known quantity people like yourself can post links in chat. And these, even with my good strippers, these wires are a bit fine, so I'm going to do it the heathen route and use my side cutters. So everybody like, everybody subscribe if you haven't already. I've got iWis for my Molex crimp, but I don't have for JSTs. I've never needed them because these just work for me. Although I'm probably now doing it in front of you guys and going to mess it up. So, and I know a lot of people complain that they don't like ratchet type crimps. For me, being a lefty and having to do it with my right hand, it's better for me. Yep, 1. Will I get 4 for 4 in front of you guys? You miss your end of 5. You'd be surprised how often I hear that. And honestly, if it wasn't my first printer, I probably would have moved it on. But with it being my first printer, I'm a bit attached to it, and it does print really nicely. Stripped a little tiny bit too much off this one. Donated your first printer to Jex, who's now doing a Dark Dog conversion on it. Never heard of the Dark Dog conversion. Four for 4. How is that? Now, let's do something a bit fun. Oh, you can't do voting from the pop-out chat. Oh, not worth it. I was going to get you to vote. Do we go standard white, standard black, or do we do a blue to match the printer? What color, fellas? White, black, or blue? Black matches the board. Blue matches the, well, closely enough matches the ABS that we're using. And white just to be old school. I gave my 5 to a friend when I got a K1. Crim's one of the few things you're good at. Well, I'm just happy that I managed to get 4 for 4 in front of everybody. Now, blue, black, or white, people? I've got 1 vote for blue. Blue for chaos. Okay. Now, where is the one? Where's the bit of cut off there? So we need blue on the left. Then we have red. Then we have orange. Now there's a strong chance we'll probably have to repin this at some stage anyway, but although having said that, apart from Creality these days, most manufacturers, it seems to just work. Okay, so let's tuck this around and plug this in. No, the orange one just self-depinned. And they've not latched in either. Oh. Obviously didn't get that crimp as good as I thought I had. Now, because that's a bit off screen, I'll just bring this in and show you. I just bought a bag of 500 GSTs. I use enough of them. I lose enough of them. So it was just made sense. Okay, hopefully that's a bit better this time. I am, however, going to need to get that out. That's an Olex depinner. You know what? I'm going to do that off stream. I'll fix that easily enough. That's in. Black was the end one. And orange still has the crimp in it, so I'm going to fix that off stream. You know, the other thing I didn't do that I was going to, I didn't remember to put heat shrink on it. More red wires, then you won't know which one to cut to stop the bomb. I like that. Okay, so let's put that one in there. Put that one back in the box because I think that's where it came from. Oh, that's a grounding strap. No idea where that came from. Now, before I forget, because I always do, all green and yellow to mess with the colorblind. Oh, that's pretty harsh. Now, we're vertically mounting, which means that's the best way. Now, I'm going to put this into place and then did anybody see what I just did? I put the heatsink on the TMC. The reason being these chips, they don't get hot enough to worry. I mean, if it ever does, I've got plenty on hand and I can swap it out easily enough, but I'm not going to stress it at this point. So this board has the two, if we can get focus, maybe, has two CAN pass-through pins, and I can leach 5 volts power from the SPI port if I need to. I was watching a stream before. I saw you were streaming about Frozen Arco, and the guy was doing a terrible job selling it. It's not my job to sell anything to anybody. I have no sponsors. I'm not beholden to anybody. And while I do get to beta test for some companies, and they might blacklist me if I call their product shit, if I'm doing my job as one of their beta testers, I won't let them launch a shit product. That's how I see it, at least. So in order to remind myself that I need to steal some 5-volt power, I'm going to put the 5-pin plug into there. Now, we should probably dig out the wiring diagram for this. There. And go to... Will it be on the wiki? Yes, it should be on the wiki. Okay, now, while we're here, for those of you who don't know, Big Tree Tech, and I'm not sponsored, I'm just letting you guys know, have a big thing going on where they're going to launch a whole bunch of new Panda products. And one of their guys got a little bit too hot with their fingers and copied and pasted all of the names of all of the new products to the wiki already. So, yeah. If you want to know what's coming, it's all listed here, although not all of it's been populated as yet, as far as I know. Yeah, some, like, the launch products are here. A lot of the pages are actually still empty because they haven't populated it with the content yet. But it's here, and this will give you an idea of what's coming. Let's go to Big Tree Tech. Let's go down to EBB series 36 CAN bus. Wow, this is slow. And pin out. Open image in new tab. And what we can then do is we can go Control and scroll in and make it a lot bigger. So what we've got going on is the hot end, heater out. Now, I don't really want to cut into these hot end cables if I can avoid it. So what I propose to do is actually use a lead I've got made up already from another project, and that will allow me to just plug in to that wire. Okay, so a fly lead I already have made up, which connects to a 2-pin Molex. Now I should probably put this all together to make sure the wires fit. Now the other thing I did off stream while I remember to let you guys know is I installed the remaining NeoPixel and soldered it into place. Because it was one of those things where I had the soldering iron on and I was actually in the groove, and I actually did a pretty good job of soldering those ones as opposed to the pretty rubbish job I did on stream with you guys. So let's think about this. The NeoPixels are going to come up here, so we need to put the 3-pin on that one too, so we'll do that in a minute. That blue wire from the motor crimp has come out again. Just getting my thumb underneath the tongue on the back of the JST crimp. And that heatsink has already fallen off. That's better. I just bent the tongue out a little bit more using my thumbnail. And I think I'm going to do that with the black one too. Up. That's better. May as well do it with this one while I'm here. You know what? Squirrel brain has got me. I am going to see if I can poke that out. Where's my... Sorry, guys. You know how something's bugging you? It's the only one of these damn crimps that doesn't want to fall out. Now, deep breath, Phil. Get back to it in a bit. Okay, so like I was saying, I didn't want to cut into the heater cable if I could avoid it. So I'm going to do a little bit of gentle management around here. Maybe better going this way. You making it to the States for printing conventions down under Maker? No time soon. I am working on whether I can get to Smurf in the UK because it kind of lines up with my birthday, which means I could spend my birthday with family in the UK and then do Smurf and then come home. But Rider is very small to be riding on a plane for 19 hours. That screwdriver is too big for this terminal. It's probably the smallest one I've got. It's the smallest terminal block I've seen in a while. There we go. Is Rapid Burner going to be a 5-minute build? I think these crimps are a little too large. I don't mind cutting the end off my extension cord because that I can make another of at any time. Crimpy crimps. Crimpy crimper. Right. Smallest possible crimp I can fit. Now, some of you may have noticed that I didn't strip very much off the end of the wire, the end of the insulation off. It's because I have to trim off the end of the crimp anyway. Otherwise, it's going to be way too long. This may still not fit. No, not going to fit. I'm just going to have to go bare wires, I think. I'm not shooting my monitor screen with small pieces of metal off the end of these. Sorry, I know I've gone a little bit quiet and I'm just doing my thing, but I'm concentrating. If I can't crimp it, at least a little bit of a twist. Keep those rogue strands at bay. there is simply no way that if I was on the beta test for this, I would let this fly. This terminal is too small to be practical. Okay, so heater cable is attached. Now we need to make up a similar one for the thermistor. Which is the thermistor port? Thermistor is that side. So let's go to Chrome. Off to bed projects, that's all good, man. So there we go. That's the hot end pins. That's a GST PH2, and I'm going to need a Molex female on the other end. So microfit 3. Microfit 3, yep, that's fitting. And GST PH2. Four pin can go away. That's SM, that's SM. Where's my GST PH? There we are. I'm sure there's probably some in this kit here, but in fact, there must be some in this kit. Is it a PH or an XH? That's an XH. What am I thinking? That's easier. So, let's think about this. What am I needing to do? I am needing to, yeah, find some 2-pin wire. And in the hot end. Very good, Brad. Very good. That's got DuPonts on the end, so that's entirely waste wire. That's there. Don't need very much. Probably about that much. At least this is fat enough to be able to do this properly with my strippers. That's probably being a little bit presumptuous. That's better. Let's go back to that one so you can see a bit better. Okay, so it's a GST XH, 2 of these. Get rid of that crimper, don't need it for now. Do need this one. Now, for those who are watching and wondering, do I need to worry about my polarity on this? The answer is no. For heaters and thermistors, the polarity is unimportant. I'm I know most of the people who are watching right now would already know that. But I have been getting messages after streams from people who watch it as a VOD. So, click into place. And click into place, give it a good pull. They're much better seated than the last couple. Okay, so strip this end apart. Now, that's SMs, DuPonts and Pico blades. Do I already get it out? Yeah, I did. And I need, let's just double check all this before I do anything silly. Yes, I do need the pin type ones. One, two. And I'm going to need my iWis crimper this time. By Jove, I got it first time. That's unusual for me on these. I'm going to try the slightly fatter one for this because it might make life easier. And then down to the small one. Sorry, took it off screen. I got both of them the first time around. Now, if you put these in and they pull straight out, it means you've got them in the wrong way up. Or you've squished the wings too much. Because on these, there's actually little wings that stick out the side. And my eyes are rubbish. Even with my new glasses. Yeah, I've completely mangled the wings on that one, but that one's all right. That sucks. The one with the better of the two crimps. Because they're okay, but they're not awesome. The one with the better of the two crimps is the one that's actually all crushed to death, and I'm going to redo. I'm just popping the wings out a little bit further than they ordinarily would be, just to give myself a little bit more range. There we go. Just get rid of that now. So the other plug comes from here. Now the mistake a lot of people make with these is they try and do them as two individual wires, and doing that is a world of hurt. And I think I've got it. There's a very nice satisfying click as those wings on the side of the crimp went home. From the looks of it, was only one that went all the way home, so I'm just giving it some persuasion. There we go, that's better. Okay, so that goes around there, under there, around the bottom, and into the thermistor port. So we have heater port, thermistor port. We need to do our lights. They can just come straight up to there, I think. Trim off about a centimeter. Now, for this, I'm still going to have to reverse those two wires, but that's fine. When I chose to use this wire, I knew full well that if I wanted to follow the red, black, and signal cable norms, I would have to swap the positions of the red and white wires in the plugs, because NeoPixels have the data down the middle wire, and I was using some servo wire that I had left over. Before I do something silly and stab myself, let's put all these back. That can go in the bin. That can go in there. They belong in there. And we're back to normal JSTs. I'd love to stick around, but the puppy needs to walk for bed. All good, Havoc. It's good to have you along. Remember to like and subscribe and all that stuff. And that sounds like the core one has just finished. So that must mean, yeah, it's 11:30 here. And that's my watch telling me the core one has just finished. So now, let's double check this before we do anything silly. We need a 3-pin. Red goes to that end. Yep. Signal goes in the middle pin. And negative goes in the far end. Click, 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 and click. Turn it over, check they all match, and they do. So red, white, black. I'm going to tuck that under there, I think. And into the socket. So what do we have left on this tool head? We have 1 fan, 2 fans, 3 fans. Now, this is the part, this is the hot end fan, which we're going to put onto, what are we going to put this onto? We're going to put it onto fan 1. I already measured that that was about the right length. And that leaves us with those 2 wires which we need to join together to make it into a matched pair for fan 2. Now, how am I going to do this? Am I going to do the cheating way and crimp 2 into 1, because these wires are fine enough to be able to do that? Or am I going to make up a little harness? I don't feel like soldering. Let's do it the cheats way. As fun as it sounds putting magnets on all these driver bits to help the screw stay in place, I keep over and over and over getting things stuck together, and it sucks. Now, let's do something sensible. I know, it's a first for me. What I'm doing is what I'm intending to do at least, is put some heat shrink onto the 2 sets of fan wires before I do anything else, because then that heat shrink hopefully should act as some strain relief. There we go. So what I'm going to do is the thoroughly not recommended process of crimping 2 wires into a single crimp. This is just going to be a little bit fiddly while I fine-tune the lengths to make sure that they match up. And I'm not completely crazy. I'm going to twist the strands together. One. Why is it too quiet in here? Dave, you need to be heckling more. It's scary like spiders and snakes and sharks. I'm doing naughty things at the moment, Dave. I'm crimping 2 wires into a single crimp. And all the rest are black, apart from that one, which I can't be bothered to change. Let's make sure I do pin these the right way around, though. Voltage in and PA1. So PA1 is the negative. So that one. JPP, how are you? And Betty. There aren't any scary spiders in Australia, are there? I heard it's a mild place. There we go. Crimps are in place. Now that crimp, the tongue isn't meshing. There we go. Double checking. Yep. Needle nose. Squeeze it tighter. So, for those of you who've just joined, I'm doing the naughty thing of crimping 2 wires into a single crimp to allow both fans to be connected at once. Okay, we've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was out by a second. Okay, is the Ender 5 Pro Plus or just the, no, this is the original Pro. So there was the Ender 5, which had the 8-bit board. Then there was the Ender 5 Pro, which had the silent steppers and could be converted to senseless homing if you could put in the effort. And then there was the Plus, which was the 350mm, and then the S1 is the one with the rounded extrusions, whereas this has got V-slot. You hear kangaroo is good eating. You hear wrong. It tastes nasty. Hi, Nick. Yeah, kangaroo tastes nasty. Think of really chewy chicken. In fact, really chewy turkey, because turkey's of a similar consistency. So what we've been up to today is, for those who've just joined, a whole bunch of crimping. It's been one of those crimp and whatever streams. I've stripped all the wiring out of the Ender 5, which is next to me. Let's give you something a little bit better to see. No, that camera doesn't like being moved around. There we go. So electronics box, for some reason the second screw isn't fitting in, so it's still a little bit loose, but I can fix it off stream easily enough. We fished all the wires through the bottom hole so far except the CAN bus. CAN bus is going to go back through the hole and up this way. We're using an EBB 36 V1.2 for now. If a company manages to finish and close their beta and then to give me the go-ahead, then I will immediately swap it out to something a little bit more fun and a little newer for us to have a play with. But I'm still waiting on the go-ahead for that. We are now just short of 2 hours into the stream. The plan, actually, for those of you who are joining very, very late, this is why things got sidetracked. I found a thing on printables. It's designed for the Ender 3, and the Ender 3 is ever so slightly different in terms of where the... Let's actually show you guys. Come on. This part I found on printables. It's designed for the Ender 3, not the Ender 5. It's very, very close, but it's no cigar in terms of the fit. So what I did was I tried to edit it in Tinkercad, because that's the easiest way to add a negative to an already in place STL. But it wouldn't load in Tinkercad because apparently it's too complicated of a shape. So I just chucked it into Prusa Slicer, added a negative volume here, and cut out a part. So now, let's turn this all the way around and go to that one. Now, in theory, it fits. Might need a little bit of coercion on that screw because that screw is installed backwards. Don't remember why, but for some reason that screw got installed backwards. So what I need to do is take this bolt out, turn the bolt around so the head is on this side and coming out the back here. This will then fit into place and allow me to fit the Rapid Burner. The reason for this, I can't afford to do any sort of conversion to rails at this point. I've got a rail that would do the X, but then I would also need rails for Y. Then there's all sorts of geometry changes in terms of the motors and things. Too big of a change for me at this point. I don't have the cash to be able to afford it. So we're going with this simple adapter to allow me to put the Rapid Burner here. And then we can do lots more fun with it. Night, Brad. And we can go from there. So what are we going to do? We've got about 15 minutes left in the time I've got available to stream. So let's see if we can take that nut off. And the other thing I showed people in case they were interested, let's have a quick look back here. And let's go to Chrome. For those of you who are familiar with the Big Tree Tech Wiki, if you go to the homepage and go to ByQ and then go into Panda Series, you now get to see all of those new Panda products that they're launching. So that big new 19 pieces of hardware suite, they've already listed them on the wiki. I'm told by accident, whether that's true or not. Well, companies like to have accidents for promotional purposes, so we shall see. What did I put with my little wrench? There. I know Beardy's into his bamboos. Nothing there. Washer off. Spacer. Years and years of grime and ick. Now, how does that go? That goes through the plate first. Then we have the eccentric nut. Then we have the pom wheel. Then we have the washer. Sorry guys, there's been no way I could show you this on camera even if I wanted to, just because of the angles. Right, so probably the easiest way to do this is with an Allen key. Now, you may have heard me use a phrase called eccentric nut. What is an eccentric nut? Well, I'm an eccentric nut, and I'm sure Nick was about to say that. But an eccentric nut is a nut which has the hole not in the middle of it. What that means is you can actually turn that nut just a little bit to adjust its tension against something, which is exactly what I'm about to do. So at the moment, this is very, very tight. And by adjusting this eccentric nut just a little, let's get rid of the bed, it's in the way. I can loosen the tension just enough to have it right where I want it. A little bit more. That's now way too loose. And that has no play, but it feels nice and free. The only real tension, only real resistance is the motor turning. So, Phil, you beat me to it. So hopefully that now means this fits, which it does. And now we need 1, 2, 3 M3 screws. M3 by 6 by the looks of it. Let's just double check that though. Yeah, M3 by 6s are going to be perfect for that one. Let's get my M36 drawer out. I'm not going to populate that one, I don't think. And that one, maybe I'm going to go button heads. Will that fit a button head nicely? When I downloaded this file from Printables, there was nothing more than, here, have a file. Yeah, I'm going to use button heads because then they all clear and they're all the same. Now, whoever designed this file actually did a really good job in terms of the tolerances and fits, because I could just do it with that one screw and not change anything. That is really secure as is. But we've got the others, so let's make it as rigid as possible. I'm going to use an M34 on that one. I just don't want the screw to go all the way through and catch on the belt. There. I just did that and you guys couldn't see. Why didn't you guys tell me? Okay. It's all secure. It's all mounted. So in theory now, on principle should I say, that all goes on there. But what we need to do before that happens is we need to tidy up all the wiring on the back of this tool head, and I'm probably going to program it off the printer for ease. I think it goes somewhere there. Yep. So those screws will go there, they go there. That's going to take a little bit of faffing around, so I might do some pre-planning on that after the stream, I think. So, where are we at? 5 minutes before the end of my streaming window. Put that screw away before I lose it. So, what have we got done today? We have stripped all the old wiring out of the printer from the toolhead. We have set up the EBB36 version 1.2 onto the back of the APUS2 extruder. Let's go back to here so you can see. EBB36, APUS2. I'm in the process of designing a replacement front cover with my logo on it to make it a little bit prettier. I've noticed something while I was working on this that I'm not entirely happy about in terms of this. So I might make one more adjustment to this mounting plate. And then that's all ready to be mounted on the printer. I'll do all my calculations in terms of how I want to run the wiring, and we will get all of that mounted onto the printer next week. So, just me. There we go. With that, I have been Phil. I have been the Down Under Maker. I'd like to thank you all for joining me, and I'd like you to join me all next week. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTuber type stuff if you can for me, please. And it's time for me to hop on out of here. Bye, guys. Nope, not that one. That one.